Students, very good evening to all of you. Today I am going to explain you the second poem of your book Beehive, that is Wind, written by Subramanya Bharati. So first of all, let me give you a brief introduction of the poet Subramanya Bharati. So I must tell you that Subramanya Bharati complete name was Chinnaswamy Subramanya Bharati, who was also known as Bhartiya. He was born on 11th December 1882 and lived up till 11th September 1921. He was a great Tamil writer, poet, journalist, Indian independence activist, a social reformer, and a polyglot. Popularly known as Mahakavi Bharati, he was a pioneer of modern Tamil poetry and is considered one of the greatest Tamil literary figures of all time. His numerous works included fiery songs kindling patriotism during the Indian independence movement. And this poem, Wind, he wrote in Tamil language, which was translated by A.K. Ramanujan. And I must tell you that this poem is an example of modern poetry which is written in free verse. That means this poem does not have any rhyme scheme. So now let's see to the poem. First of all, the title, which is only a single word, that is wind, without the definite article. So we'll discuss the appropriateness of the title, that why the poet has given the title wind and not added the wind. So here the wind, which is without the definite article the, refers only to the natural phenomena called wind that can be both good and evil, constructive and destructive, depending on the circumstances and attitude of people. There are at least 4 different facets of wind as presented in the poem, that is, of a naughty child, a raging destructive youth, a very helpful friend, and a powerful god. The one word title presents the persona of the natural force called wind, who has enjoyed the status of a god in many cultures, including the Tamil culture and mythology. Therefore, we can say that the title is appropriate. So now let's see to the poem. Then in the end, we'll discuss the theme and the message given by the poem. And we'll discuss the literary devices. The main literary device that is used in the whole poem is personification, because here the poet is conversing with the wind, and that means the poet has attributed the human quality to the inanimate thing, that is wind. Therefore, the poet has used the literary device personification in the whole poem. So now let's see to the poem. We'll see to the first 4 lines. It says, wind comes softly, don't break the shutters of the windows, don't scatter the papers, don't throw down the books on the shelf. You all know that the wind blows and what happens? It becomes very destructive. The trees fall, the papers which are there, they just flow off, and the shelves also, bookshelves also, the books are thrown down because of the force of the wind. So in these lines, basically the poet has described the strength, the destructive power of the wind. And he says, and in this poem, the opening line, the poet requests the wind, addressing it directly, that he wants it to blow gently or softly so that the shutters of the windows are not broken and the papers are not blown about. And the poet also urges the wind not to throw books down the shelf. So this is what here it is a request, because the wind is getting very destructive. So the poet is requesting it to blow softly and not to destroy the things. Now we'll see the main poetic device that is used in these lines. The main poetic device is repetition, as the word don't at the beginning of the 3 consecutive lines expresses the poet's strong urge to the wind to be gentle and kind, and it also creates a unique rhythm in the poem. Therefore, the main device that is used in these lines is repetition. Now see to the next line. The next line says, There, look what you did. You threw them all. You tore the pages of the books. You brought rain again. You are very clever at poking fun at weaklings. So, here now, the poet is just telling the wind that what he has done. In these lines, he demonstrates the damage that is caused by the strong and fierce wind, as it has thrown down all the books from the shelf and torn their pages, and it causes the clouds also to make rain. The poet believes that the wind, by destroying the weak things, seems to mock at their frailty and fragility. So, here indirectly, the poet says that the wind differentiates between the weak and the strong. The wind, it destroys all the weak weak things which do not remain stable over there. They are washed off, they are blown off, they are destroyed, but only those things remain intact, those which are strong. So here the poet is indirectly representing the human beings who are weak in nature. So we can say that in the initial part of the poem, the poet is referring to wind as a young child. He is saying that it should come softly, just like the small child does. In the later part, we come to know that the wind is destructive, just like a youth, just like a young boy or a young girl who is full of energy, violence, and destruction. Now, we'll move to the next lines. The next line says, frail, crumbling houses, crumbling doors, crumbling rafters, crumbling woods, crumbling bodies, crumbling lives, crumbling hearts. The wind god winnows and crushes them all. Here, crumbling means falling. Crumbling houses, that means falling or to cause something to break. And rafter here means sloping beam which supports the roof of the building. So here the word crumbling is repeated so many times just to lay stress that everything crumbles in the face of a strong wind. So the writer is saying that the wind is very powerful. It is very, very strong. It leads to breakage of everything. Houses which are weak fall and doors which are weak fall. The beams on which the roof of the buildings are supported, they also fall. All the wooden structures fall, all bodies of people fall, animals, lives, hearts. So he is saying that everything crumbles, everything is destroyed. So everything that is weak reacts by falling and breaking in the face of adversity. So the poet is saying that whenever a weak person faces any adversity or challenge in life, he breaks down and falls. So here now we will see to the poetic devices that are being used in this line. The main poetic device is, again we can say, repetition, because the word crumbling is repeated in the 3 lines. And the 4th line says the wind god winnows and crushes them. So I will explain you this line. This line here, the word winnows means to blow grain free of chaff. That means to separate the grain from the husk by blowing on it. So here the last line means that the poet is addressing the wind as wind god, and he is saying that the powerful god of wind winnows. That means he shifts all the people, and those people who are weak fall and get crushed. That means he shifts, means he just separates the weak and the strong people. So here a comparison is made between wheat and people. Just like we winnow the wheat to separate the grain from the chaff, the wind god separates the strong people from weak people. When there is a strong wind, all the things that are weak fall and get crushed. So this is what was there in the stanza. Now let's see to the next stanza. The next stanza says, he won't do what you tell him. So come, let's build strong homes. Let's join the doors firmly. Practice to firm the body. Make the heart steadfast. So very beautiful lines. In these lines the poet says, and he believes that the wind god acts accordingly to his own wishes and does not relent even when we people urge him. Therefore, it is essential to equip our buildings, our bodies, and our hearts with immense strength so that we may withstand strong winds as far as human lives are concerned. The wind is a symbol of daunting difficulties and challenges that can be overcome only with exceptional strength, resistance, resilience, courage, and determination. So, now let's see to the poetic device. Here, the poetic device used in this poem is symbolism. Here, the poet has compared the human life with the wind. So now let's see to the next lines. The next line says, "Do this, and the wind will be friend with us. The wind blows out weak fires. He makes strong fires roar and flourish. His friendship is good. We praise him every day." So here the poet believes that if we are strong enough not to be shaken by the wind, it will become our friend. Here wind stands for the hardships of life. These hardships can make only weak people stagger. The strong people become stronger still by facing the difficulties. Just like the wind can extinguish only weak flames of fire, and the strong flames burn stronger still with loud roar. If we befriend the wind, it will prove to be good for us. So, very beautiful poem, and a great theme is there in this poem. So, the poet has kept the wind on pedestal here, and he is comparing the wind to God, and he says that wind is God and we praise wind every day. And he also adds that everything that is weak gets finished off in the face of the strong wind, and all the things that are strong flourish and grow to become stronger. He is giving us a very important message that we should not feel bad that we are facing so many challenges and adversities in life. We should make ourselves physically and mentally strong to face these challenges, and once we are strong enough, we will overcome the challenges, we will become friends with them, and then we will be happy that we had these challenges in our life, because they help us become stronger and better. And you can compare this with the present situation of pandemic COVID-19. That is, this people are fighting, people are struggling with this pandemic, and so it is an adversity in our life, but it is a challenge, you can say it is a great challenge for us, so we should learn to cope up with it. So I hope you have understood the poem, and I have already discussed the various literary devices that is used in the whole poem. The main poetic device is personification and anaphora, repetition, alliteration also, because the word in the wind winnows, in that line the W is repeated in the two words, therefore alliteration also has been followed. Symbolism, I told you, because symbolism, what does symbolism mean? That the thing refers to some other thing. The wind is a symbol, it refers to the challenges in life. He is using wind as a symbol for the adversities in our life. So I hope you all have understood the poem clearly. Now we'll see to the theme and the main message I have already given. The theme of the poem is that this poem depicts the utterly enormous power of the wind in the world, and how it has the potential of being both a destroyer and a creator. The weak and fragile cannot withstand its fury, while the strong can use it to their advantage. The same is true of the adversities of life. Those who are weak easily break down, and those who are strong take them in their stride and come out stronger. Therefore, our attitude to life and its trials and tribulations determines our response to them. So, I hope you all have understood the poem clearly. Now, we'll see to the question and questions which are given at the back. We'll discuss the answers. The very first question says, What does the poet say the wind god winnows? Why does the poet says that the wind god winnows? So we can say that the poet states that the wind god winnows because it is nature's way of rejecting the frail and unhealthy objects. In a way, the wind god separates the weak from the strong, like the chaff is separated from the grain. The wind god is the winnower, the wind as a winnowing fan, and the weak men are the grain. So, this way you are going to write the answers. Remaining answers try to write by yourself. Then I am going to send you the notes. Thank you. Goodbye.